In 3, 2,
1.
Reviews, discussions, and theories about films in horror, sci-fi, and genre. This is The Horror Deconstruction. Like, share, and subscribe to hear more.
What's up, everybody? It's The Horror Deconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, but most likely on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe, give a thumbs up with your host Komp and
Willy Wonka.
As well as
Teehee.
And today's film is
Crimes of the Future, the 2022 one, not the one from 1970 something.
That's the actual title. It's that long.
Yeah,
Crimes
it says
of the
all
Future
that.
2022. Humans adapt to a synthetic environment with new transformations and mutations. With his partner Caprice, Saul Tenser, celebrity performance artist, publicly showcases the metamorphosis of his organs in avant-garde performances. Directed and written by David Cronenberg, starring Viggo Mortensen, Léa Seydoux, and Kristen Stewart. Gosh, and a whole bunch of other people. So, Danny, why did I pick Crimes of the Future?
You wanted to do a follow-up on the King of Gondor. What happens after he takes his reign?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure everybody is always happy that David Cronenberg comes out with a movie, although that's not really true because he has been kind of steadily making movies for a while. This is his first movie in about 8 or 10 years.
It said the last thing he made was in
Maps of the
1999.
Stars.
I don't know if that's true.
It's a movie called Maps of the Stars was the last one that I thought I heard of. And I think he made a movie that was like entirely in a car. That was with Tom, I forget his name, Tom Venom guy. So anyway, this movie I picked because obviously it's Crimes of the Future, it's body horror, and you can't go wrong with mixing David Cronenberg. And I think one of the last kind of body horror movies that I saw of his was Existenz.
Yeah, that was the last one he made.
How could I get that wrong?
That was the last movie he's made in the the genre, basically, right?
Yeah, and so there's been well, I wouldn't say plenty of other directors, but there's other directors that have been doing his spiel a bit, like
his son.
Yes, his son does very good. I don't think he does. I guess he does. Body horror.
Antiviral's totally
right.
body horror.
I was thinking of the last one, the Possessor, but that does have body horror stuff in it too.
Yeah.
But and also people have been getting bigger, receptions based on his work with like Titan, by that other director, which I thought was a good film, but. Even Viggo Mortensen was like, "What's that movie about?" He was like making complaints about it, and David Cronenberg was like, "It's all right, let her have her movie." But Titan, everybody should watch that. It's body horror, weird stuff. It's a lady fucks a car and gives birth to a car baby in it.
Ooh.
Anyway,
the origin of Christine.
Thea, can you explain what Crimes of the Future is about? Can you? I'm asking you in that actually.
Is it possible to explain in less than a movie?
Yeah.
You have to include the throat clearing.
Yeah, no kidding. Jesus.
Yeah, that's the thing that she mentioned to me too. It was pretty funny.
It just gets distracting to a point. Like I get it.
To me, that was the only thing that was a little. That was the only thing that was a little bit too over the top with his acting. But go ahead.
Yeah. Besides that, it was not poorly acted. I don't think. It's a nearish future. Well, unspecified is what it says, I guess. But where there's been changes to our bodies because of our environments that. It's like our bodies are trying to adapt to the environment, but they're just kind of producing organs that don't work.
There's no more pain, right? There's no more pain receptors. So
yeah, there's no pain receptors, and people aren't getting like diseases or infections, rather.
That sounds great.
So human beings have
the
evolved
idea
to a point.
is they can have open air surgery anywhere because
So
everybody
COVID
doesn't
is
feel
cured.
pain. I guess.
So this is a fantasy movie.
It's infections. I don't really know if I don't know. Who knows? But yeah. So we start the movie with two characters. Well, we don't start the movie there, but we follow two characters who do performative surgery.
Would you do that if you didn't feel pain?
I think they did feel pain though, didn't they? Because they said pain.
Well, he felt pain because he's got all these weird organs growing in his body. But even still, like they're all cutting each other open. He's got zipper wounds in his stomach,
So it was interesting and nice to see. This is a random one, but to see Scott Speedman here. This is an actor that I think.
What is he from?
I think he was in that show Felicity, wasn't he?
Is he the dad of the
Yeah,
child?
Yeah.
There was a show called Felicity. I believe that he was the other. I think he was the good-looking guy on the show because like Felicity had two guys that she liked. One was the nerdy guy, and of course she slept with Scott Speedman, and then she ended up dating the nerdy guy. It's like one of those shows, I believe. He was also in The Stranger, so he's pretty much like a reliable, good-looking actor. But I think he's one of those actors that tries to make really good choices. I'm trying to see, was he part of that?
The Dr. Whippet guy, I kept thinking he was the crazy guy from that Ben Wheatley nature movie, but it's not
I know
him.
what you mean. Yeah. The thing with that actor is that he's actually a writer. He's a very prolific writer from where he is.
Okay.
And back to Scott Speedman, he was also very much so part of the Underworld films. He was the werewolf guy in those movies.
Oh, okay. Maybe
I never
know him
saw
from
those
that.
movies, but I appreciated her leather suit. And I think he decided to not be in all of them after a while. He's one of those actors that really gives a shit about his craft. You know, he doesn't want to just make money. So whatever. I don't know. So this also has the much beloved Kristen Stewart. Danny is in love with her, right?
You know what? I've never understood the appeal of her, but she's fucking sexy in this movie.
You know what? Okay, so let's.
There's something about just a psychotic, sexy woman.
So I think what it is she's playing some sort of docile weirdo. I think that's.
She's playing a real weirdo in this, and I don't know why, but it did it for me.
That ticks off a couple of checklists for guys. I think sometimes where it's sort of a weird or women, you know, and obviously she herself, I believe, is full blown LGBTQ right now or something. I'm not sure. But I know she has a fiance, a female fiance, I'm not going to make any more.
I know very little about her.
Yeah.
I know that she was in those stupid vampire
All I know
movies
is
where they sparkle.
She broke Batman's heart by cheating on him with a director, and that's why I've always hated her. But I liked her in
Is
this
that
movie.
Robert Peterson?
Robert Pattinson, yeah.
Patterson.
Pattinson.
Yeah. Pattinson, whatever. I don't know. Leave me alone.
So from there, I just didn't get it because she always kind of seemed wooden in her films, although I've always seen good reviews for her work. And then she was in Charlie's Angel, and it was one of those things where what? Why is she in Charlie's Angel? And then she
makes a lot of really discreetly different choices.
Yeah, and she was also there's a movie that she was in called Personal Shopper, which I want to watch.
Does she shop for people?
No, I think what she does is that she wears clothes of dead people and she's able to channel them or something like that. I think that's what it is. I might be completely wrong.
Nice.
But that's from a really good director, and I think we should cover that one day because apparently that's a horror film, but in a weird sort of out there kind of horror film. But I will say it's something that stood out here because I was okay, she's sort of a goofy, weird character. She's playing Timlin. She plays this. What is she playing? She's part of some sort of new.
She's like an organ legal documenter.
National Organ Registry, which is brand new, but they're trying to copy what the performance artists started, which is tattooing new organs so that they can categorize them and track.
Okay,
them,
that's what
basically.
it was. I thought it was just part of art. It really is very confusing. So, but there's just about to jump off of Kristen Stewart. But
she's in the bureaucratic end, although I think they both want to be in the art end because they're
enchanted by the
weirdos.
arts. But there's one scene that I know, the almost sex scene, the part where they're making out, Viggo Mortensen and Saul Tenser, where I gotta say, I was hey, I was moved by her performance in there and then I looked at Viggo Mortensen very closely because they were doing a kissing scene, and some actors kiss with tongue and some don't out of respect out of each other. And I saw it. He was flipping that tongue out, waiting for it to shove it right in her mouth. And I was like, yeah. And then
but he was doing it in this grotesque way, his mouth was open. I was looking at it.
She does this thing where she put her finger in his mouth and then put it took his saliva and put it in her mouth. And I was like, maybe she's not a bad person after all. Anyway, back to this film. So Viggo Mortensen, Danny, I
liked it.
Alex was titillated.
Thea titillated or no? No, we leave Thea alone because she's the respectable one here. So Saul Tenser, Danny, who's Saul Tenser? He seems like a tense guy.
He is a man who can grow. Well, he just grows random tumor organs in his body, and he's in constant pain, making horrible noises with his throat. And he works with this artist who cuts him open in front of people, and weird people are into this. Whole movie is very upsetting.
As always, who needs Wikipedia when you have Danny walking around just to
I
explain
love Danny's
things?
explanation.
But yes,
this whole movie just made me depressed.
So Saul Tenser is a character who has he's an aberration, I guess, to modern times, where his body is constantly growing these tumorous. I guess they're non-fatal tumors, but they're these new organs that keep growing, and they keep drawing them and classifying them. And he looks like he's going through some sort of symptoms of body fatigue, where he can't sleep because all these organs keep growing around him. He cannot swallow, and believe me, this is something that I've seen firsthand with a relative who was passing away from this sort of fatal disease, and they could not swallow. So I was just watching it, going, "Jesus Christ Almighty!"
That's great.
I was so
God,
depressed watching this stuff because.
No kidding.
But Viggo Mortensen is so that was the only thing where I thought was a little bit over the top, where you knew it was an actor's choice, where he was maybe I'll cough in this line. He kept clearing his throat, and it can get annoying. It was annoying for me for a personal reason, but I kind of understood it because people that have that, they're doing that all the time because they cannot swallow, and leads to them that essentially leads to them passing away because they cannot process food. So that's what's happening to him, and to see that ending, especially when he was able to, and it was
very
obviously
happy for
spoiling
him.
that he can eat plastic. That,
I also don't understand
made me
the
happy.
concept of why everybody's against it.
I think, well, we'll get to that. Let's get into Caprice. Thea, who's Caprice, played by Léa Seydoux?
Caprice was a trauma surgeon who met Saul, I think, when he was still a cop. And
Saul was okay, right.
She did surgery on him, and then they sort of met and ran away and became performance artists. So she's the one that does the actual surgeries, using their autopsy unit.
Yep. I thought, what would be interesting for
She's going to be in the new Dune.
You know what would be interesting? Yeah, she's going to be good in it. She's just a very good actor. We'll get into her in a second. But I thought, what would be interesting right now, it just came to me. If she and Saul had a son, right? And if he has plastic, if her son was sort of plastic and he looked foilish, she could call him Caprice's son. And she could put a straw in him.
That was a long way to walk for that one.
Oh boy! Sometimes I'm so brilliant. I'm so funny.
That was good.
I'm a genius. So Léa Seydoux, we know her from the beginning of the. So I'm gonna ask our resident professional on this. The Blue is the Warmest Color. I've never seen that. Is that a good movie?
I know. I didn't.
Who am I asking?
Either because
oh wow!
Gross.
So yeah, because it's what? It's gross.
Gross.
Okay, because the director got in trouble for it, I believe.
Yeah, it's a lot of male. They sort of make it.
It's the male gaze of
and also she was very uncomfortable shooting it, which I think came out later.
Yeah, that director, it's very upsetting to know because that director, I forget his name, but he made a movie called Blue is the Warmest Color.
Abdelatif Keshi.
So she is in a movie called Blue is the Warmest Color. It's about a relationship film about these lesbians, and one of them has blonde hair, blue hair or something like that. And the comic has a radically different ending, and I think it was a very graphic sex scene. And later on, she said she was uncomfortable that he was getting them drunk to have sex scenes and stuff like that. And then later on, he made 2 other movies. This is the part that bothers me, is that they're called Mektub and Mektub My Love or something like that, and he just focuses on large butts, and it makes me feel so sad that a man like that, which true visionary, is a piece of crap, because those movies sound great, but I can't support them. So yeah, she's in that film. I saw her recently also in the last James Bond movie. She was in the last 2 James Bond movies, and she was James Bond's girlfriend. Good, okay movies. Those movies are alright. I actually saw all 5 of those movies. You don't have to. The last one was okay. She's good in them.
I haven't seen any of them.
It doesn't matter.
No, me neither.
They're all the
I've
same
never
shit.
watched a whole James Bond movie.
Well,
you know what I did though? I played GoldenEye enough that I know the whole plot of the movie.
That's true. Somebody tries to take over the world, and then a British guy tries to stop him.
I played the whole story mode. I know everything that happens.
I will say without definitively spoiling it, the last James Bond movie is the last of that James Bond movie, without saying anything. But she's a very good actress. She's especially really good in this film. Especially the part where they open up the freezer with the boy's body, and she starts crying, and you don't see the boy's body at first, and you see her reaction to it. I thought that was pretty genuine, and she's just really well cast, and I understand why she's in this type of film. I gotta wonder when David Cronenberg asks you Like, to be in a movie like this, do you automatically say yes or no? Because it's like...
Everybody in this movie is insane.
I know.
Like, every character, even her, she's got, like, weird forehead implants now. Like, what's going on? All these people have lost their minds.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, if another...
I guess that's the point.
I gotta wonder if another director came to them with this type of stuff, like, would they be like, get the fuck out of here? But, like, since it's Cronenberg... Because, like, I always see Cronenberg as the other side of the coin of... Who's our guy, Danny? Twin Peaks man? David Lynch.
Oh, David Lynch?
Yeah, like, he's the other side of him where he kind of takes his... They both take their material seriously, but you can tell Lynch is having some kind of fun with it. And, like, Lynch is aloof and a weirdo, and that makes him kind of charming. And if you see interviews with Cronenberg, because it seems like Cronenberg kind of comes off as a little bit as mysterious as Lynch, but he actually seems like a nice old man. So if you ever, like, watch interviews with him...
David Lynch seems like a nice old man.
I'm not saying Lynch isn't a nice old man. I'm saying he's just weird and aloof.
I mean, he does weather reports.
That's what I'm saying.
YouTube.
He's weird and aloof, which is kind of charming. But Cronenberg is also... But Cronenberg doesn't seem to get the same respect. Although I believe that they gave him a standing ovation at the end of Cannes for this. Also, rounding out the cast is Welkit Bungu as the cop. His name is Cope. He might be French or something.
He doesn't seem to care that kids are being murdered, just that people eat plastic.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
His acting was a little strange. Like, it's almost like they just handed him the script right there, but I liked his performance. Don McKellar as Whippet, which Whippet is the name of a type of dog. They kind of look like weird greyhounds.
They're tiny greyhounds.
Yeah,
I like them.
They're cute. So this whole film, I don't know what it is trying to say, because we have this whole subplot of plastic terrorists. They're not really terrorists. They're just sort of people.
They're not terrorists.
They're
just
literally just hippies with a commune.
They just want to eat plastic because that's the next evolution, and it probably is.
It is, because what is the theory that they're everywhere, microplastics in ocean, air, and the human body, from ocean depths to mountain peaks.
Yeah, like our blood has it in it right now.
Yeah, so...
We're all going to die
Let me read this.
unless we adapt.
Microplastics are fragments of any type of plastic less than 5 millimeters in length, according to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They cause pollution by entering natural ecosystems for a variety of sources. So that's why you always
There's
see...
like things the size of France of just plastic floating in like all the oceans of the world.
You got to wonder how much trash there is in this world. Like, do they shoot it off? Have they ever shot it off into space? They have to, right?
Leave it to Elon Musk to try to do that or something, and we'll have just like an atmosphere of trash around the Earth. Yeah, somebody needs to eat it or we're all going to die. So, yeah, I'm cool with this.
Do you think that really is a commentary on human beings evolving to the point where they need to eat plastics to, survive and stuff like that?
Well, there's like bugs that are evolving now to do it.
Yeah, that's true. Sophia, what is your take on this film? What is it about to you?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like with any of his movies, he's always trying to say multiple things at once, which can be successful or not. I think one of the things is what you're getting at, which is like, we will do anything but the thing that sort of helps us as as humanity. Like, we will literally kill the people who are trying to solve a problem for us.
Yeah, right. Because it's too weird or too out there, right?
Rather than accept it, and we'll define them as like non-human or whatever we need to define them as, to use them as scapegoats.
Well, I mean, at the time of this recording, we can see that the Supreme Court ruled against EPA, like making sure that the Earth is clean. So
right
against that, so we can see stuff like this where people would rather hide a freakish, future as opposed to letting nature take its course. And essentially man controlling how life should be and how it continues. So I think eventually it will come to be. But do you think like I'm sorry, I can't tell if it's gunshots or fucking firecrackers outside my window.
There's fireworks on my end. People are celebrating. They're like, "Woo, freedom!"
Oh,
freedom from what? Freedom from not having children. So Who are these ancillary characters? We have what are the weirdest? Okay, so what are the weirdest parts of this movie to you? And that's a long list. What happens in this movie?
Where do you even start?
There's like a joke in this movie.
That does the performance art with the ears all over him.
Yeah, that was fine. I didn't think that was that weird. I thought that was actually pretty like normal and mundane for this type of film.
I don't know. What would you categorize as weird?
I found what's her face, Caprice, tonguing his zipper wounds kind of
they called
unsettling.
it an oral sex act on his organs, and I was like,
I read that and I was like, wait, what?
When I saw that scene, I was like, yeah, that's about right for a Cronenberg movie like this. Like that makes
Also,
sense.
how did I was a little confused. How did Kristen Stewart get into the corpse, tattoo the organs, and then seal it up perfectly again?
They must have snuck in with the body and stuff. So we had these two ladies called Juna and Burst and Router.
Yeah, what are their deals? They're going
This was
around
one of the
just
weirder
drilling
parts for
people
me.
in the head.
Do they work for the cops? Like,
Yeah, I think they
so?
either work for the cops or they work for the plastic people, because I think what happened.
No, they were
but
killing the
they're
plastic
killing the
people.
plastic people.
But I think those guys were making everything they were blowing up their spot, to use a ghetto term. They were like, I think because the
No, but they were trying. No, that's what they want.
All right, well, you can tell I was confused by this movie. But one of the weirdest
I think,
parts
right?
to me...
I mean, Thea, right?
I think.
One of the weirdest parts of this movie to me was apparently a joke by Cronenberg where Burst and Router, these two women that are like innocuous sort of background characters, helping fix this the company's material with like this kind of coffin or autopsy machine that they have. And there's a part where... It's the most bizarre thing where Caprice is standing there, she's talking to somebody on the phone or something, and then she turns back and both the girls are naked lying inside of the fucking coffin, and they're like, ee, laughing, and I was like, what did I just see? Like, what was that?
That was
like,
weird. You know what I wondered most in that scene? I was like, so they're not wearing anything under coveralls?
Is that a bad thing?
Mechanics I don't know. I'm like, wouldn't you be uncomfortable?
It's a new world, Thea.
I've seen many
You're
documentaries on X videos that happens where they take off those suits.
You're
but
right.
so that like there's some weird and it's funny because the movie very much toes the line between low budget and high budget. I mean, obviously this is a low budget movie, but it's filmed well enough to not look cheap, even though they only have maybe 2 locations.
Do people have like regular sex anymore, or is it all like surgery sex?
It's all
Because
the
they
new
treated
sex.
this.
I
movie
love
was-
when he says, I'm not good at the old sex.
Yeah,
That's what I liked,
Right.
yeah.
Do you think his Viagra was like putting like a hammer on top of his head, like, and that's it's like ba-dunk. He watches like the Three Stooges.
If they cut his penis off, do you think it would grow back with like a little plastic eating mouth on it?
Oh,
Yeah,
Christ.
I do.
Do you think all these people think hardcore porn is like the Three Stooges when it's just people
The
hitting each
prequel to
other
this
with
movie is the
wrenches?
movie Teeth.
Yeah, oof.
They watch. Oh, I like
That was a good
Teeth.
movie, too.
They watch like old surgery videos.
Yeah,
to
the
masturbate
Learning
to.
Channel. If you guys didn't know, way back when there was a cable channel called the Learning Channel, where before it was about fighting ghosts and finding them, it actually showed like actual just hours and hours of surgery. And I remember as a child changing to that channel and seeing somebody's heart pumping through their chest, and I almost I wanted to fucking bleach my eyes. It was so horrible.
I preferred it when they just had like design shows like Trading Spaces.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, that was later though.
Yeah.
Originally, Kristen Stewart, she actually replaced Natalie Portman, who was supposed to be in Timlin. You think Natalie Portman would have swallowed his
I think
spit?
Kristen Stewart was the correct choice, and I love Natalie Portman.
Yeah, I think Kristen Stewart does really well in
good.
this film. Makes me want to
Yeah.
check out her movies. I actually like the soundtrack by Howard Shore a lot. It's that weird low tempo.
Kristen Stewart dressed like a dork, sexually turned on by a disgusting old man who has weird organs growing in his body.
Why is Viggo
Something
Mortensen
about
in-
that's
That's what
very
does
hot
it
to
for
me.
you, eh?
Why is Viggo Mortensen?
Something about that is a big turn on. I don't know why.
Wow, we're finding
is-
so much about you.
I gotta have something mentally wrong with me. That's what that
Wow.
means. Like,
Why is Viggo Mortensen such a disgusting old man?
because he's clearing his throat. He's got like weird goo
His little
and
man
like
titties.
suction cups on
imagine
his hands.
Danny-
He's horrible.
Danny walks into an old folks' home and he's like, "Look at these disgusting people trying to survive, breathing. Ugh, feh."
Yuck.
The movie was filmed entirely in one warehouse. Did you think the scene with the kid?
Really?
Yeah, that's why you could tell it's like one set the whole movie. They probably had
I
like
didn't. It didn't feel that low budget to me.
I know they
It
probably
doesn't
had
feel
like
low budget, but it does feel a little bit samey sometimes.
yeah they had like about $15 more than the cast of Cube or some shit like that. I did.
I didn't notice. I felt like it was like fine.
I can see
Oh.
why so many people walked out in the movie, because the movie begins with like a kid eating like a plastic waste bin, which
I
is,
mean,
to me,
they
is
probably
disgusting.
walked out when she murdered the kid.
Yeah, she smothers
right?
the kid, and then later on,
Yeah, that's like the first minute of the movie.
Yeah.
they have a whole like autopsy scene with the little kid's body and shit, and I was like, wow, like Kevin Spacey must have been.
There was a lot of that. I was like, okay, we could have like shot around.
You guys think Kevin
little bit.
Spacey?
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey got the screener of the movie. He was like,
I
oh my
know,
god!
God.
Oh, look at.
He's like munching on a plastic dildo.
He's looking at that little rubber pee-pee in the movie, going, "This is the
my
greatest
God.
movie in the history." Cronenberg, why did you put me in this movie? Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I liked it. I don't know if I enjoyed it just because it's a weird movie. It's a weirdo movie, and it's not a regular film. Because like I saw Existence, the movie that I couldn't fucking say the name of for some reason, but he knew how to say it. Although I've seen the movie, and I didn't feel like I liked it that much. But I
Right.
think I wasn't like, I think I didn't buy or into like Cronenberg stuff back then like I do now.
Right.
Like I didn't understand his material back then, even though that wasn't that was probably in the late '90s. That movie.
I don't think I ever saw that one. Is it good?
I don't
It's
remember.
Interesting.
Yeah, all I remember is the ending is as confusing as. Actually, this makes more sense than the ending of Existence, because you don't know if it's
Yeah.
like the Existence is like a cheap version of the Matrix, but with like body organs and guns and shit like that. It's just, well, they still have guns in the Matrix and body organ shit. So I guess it's like the Matrix for $5. But I think I like this movie simply for its weird, and I don't know if that takes me out of consideration of like actually reviewing this movie. Like I like the way that we do the show is just because we're not saying what we say is definitive. It's just like our takes on it. It's just a show
Yeah,
about
it's just
kinda
our takes.
It's just
No,
our
my
just us
takes are
chatting.
definitive.
Everything
If
David
I
does
say
is,
something is good, it's good.
it's
if I
completely
say it's
objective
bad,
fact.
Like honestly, the show
Yeah.
is just like for us to talk shit with each other and have a record of it. But
That's right.
I don't know if that means anything. If like you're into weird cinema, then this certainly will be up
It's
your
for
alley.
you.
I believe.
Yeah.
If you're into like the most depressing, upsetting view of the future, then this movie's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's also Don't Look Up, which is not a future. It's actually
Yeah, but that's like a
present.
comedy. This is like
It's actually
just like
present.
this is
This sounds pretty
probably
humorless.
realistic.
Yeah. So
This is probably a realistic view of how deranged people will be after like climate change has killed us all.
Yeah.
and it's got great performances, I think, by everybody. Even that weird cop Cope. I think because he gives such a unique sort of the way he speaks in that movie. But I think everybody does really well in this film. It is obviously confusing because you're and I appreciate that we're thrown into a future world where they don't have to explain everything. It's just everything is
Yeah.
what it is. Even though they kind of mention names of stuff, and they do.
It's got to be like 100 years in the future if everybody's evolved already, because it would take a while.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the way things are going, this is like 5 years into the future or something.
This is after COVID, like
2 years,
Ultra
give it 2
Megatron
years.
or something.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I mean, like I don't. Do you guys have any big problems with the film?
No.
Problems? Not really. No, I mean, it's just depressing.
Do you feel this was an underwhelming Cronenberg movie? I don't know how we've like felt about Cronenberg
No.
films.
Have
Honestly,
we
when
even
do
done
them.
I-
Cronenberg?
I think I typically like Cronenberg a lot.
Yeah, this is one of Thea's statesmen, like a
Statesman,
Canadian.
yes.
So I mean, we
He
did
is.
we did the movie about the people get the horny.
You get Dan Aykroyd,
the
you get
horny disease
Cronenberg,
movie. We also did I don't know
Did
what
we
else
do
we
the
did.
Brood? Was the Brood?
John
him?
Kennedy.
We did the one about the divorce, or the lady who was giving birth to those weird children.
Yeah, the Brood, right? Yeah.
that was based on his divorce.
We've done The Fly. We've
Right.
done.
Oh,
What's
and
the
The
one where
Fly.
they've got the weird vaginas in their armpits?
That I believe is the one with Rabid. I think it was?
Repulsion or something, right?
No, Rabid.
Rabid.
Yeah, Rabid was.
We did Repulsion too.
No,
though, didn't we?
Repulsion.
Is that?
Repulsion is a movie by that guy who had sex with an
That's
underage girl.
Polanski.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
That's
oh,
why
I'm
you
sorry.
like that movie,
Sorry.
then.
My bad.
But yeah, they remade. But the directors who made American Mary remade Rabid, and it
Yeah.
looks it looks,
It looks bad. Yeah, it
horrendous.
looks pretty bad.
But yeah, I think we've pretty much been good with Videodrome. Obviously, Videodrome's a fun movie,
Yeah.
even though it
We
has
should go back and watch Existence. This actually
should.
reminds me a bit of that.
Let's do
Yeah, Videodrome's
Thea,
great. I just hate fucking what's his name.
Yeah, all right. Thea, you pick that movie and we'll do it. So also I got to say that like The Fly, his version of The Fly, I think is a perfect film.
Oh
like,
yeah, incredible.
I love that.
I hardly say that about any movies. Like I love The Fifth Element, but these are the movies that I like. You know what I mean? I love The Gate. You know what I mean?
So you think The Fly is perfect?
I believe it's a perfect film. I don't know how. I don't know what it is about that movie for me.
I love it. I mean, I love it.
I think
it's well
everything.
acted.
I think every
the effects are
scene.
insane.
It's very upsetting to
Yeah.
this day.
Every scene in that movie is critical. There is no useless scene in that movie. Every line, everything that happens in that film, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. But every single sequence in that movie serves a purpose. There's nothing in it that's
Beautiful.
filler, and I love it. So, The Fly. Go watch The Fly. Also watch
Go
this,
watch
but
The
The Fly is
Also watch
incredible.
this.
If you like,
watch this.
If you like Jeff Goldblum, but or if you just want to see a horror movie anyway. But what rating would you give Crimes of the Future 2022? Although I don't think we even explained the movie. Danny, what rating?
Well, I mean, there's not much to explain. We said when it happens.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, as long as he's
kinda.
happy at the end, he gets to eat plastic, and there's that sort of beautiful.
plastic at the end. That's what happens in.
There's
this
that
movie.
beautiful art house shot of him in black and white smiling as he's tearing up. I thought that was a beautiful shot.
Humans evolve to fix. Nature evolves to take care of itself.
Can you
That's
imagine that
the
you could
point
just
of
they'll
the
like
movie.
all walk into like a broken down Toys R Us and you just some eating Ninja Turtle like figures and shit, and they're like, this is delicious. Like they just.
But it's like, this was my collectible.
I'm really sad though that we never got to see him
It sounded like
participate in the
Seinfeld.
beauty pageant.
Yeah.
The beauty pageant.
Yeah.
You know?
That I was actually waiting to see, like if they were gonna do something like that. I think they ran out of budget or something. But there's a lot. I'm like he's turning 80 something, and I know he's already working on another film. But I like
Viggo Mortensen, really?
No.
Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg.
Oh.
Viggo Mortensen, I think, is like 60 or something. He's like still young.
Okay, I was gonna say it doesn't seem that old.
Viggo Mortensen, you know, he's
but he's disgusting.
Mortensen is a great. Viggo Mortensen.
Well, he was in this movie. He was disgusting.
He's an incredible actor. Like he has some self-respect. He didn't do any of the Hobbit prequels because he was like, "Fuck that!" Like he read the script and threw him in the garbage.
Wouldn't have existed in the Hobbit prequels.
Well, he existed as Strider.
Cronenberg, yes, the video game from Sega Genesis. So Cronenberg did History of Violence, right? Is that right?
I think so.
Can somebody look that up real quick? But he was in History of Violence, which is it has to be because the gore in that movie is like realistic and super like fucked up. And there's a shot in that movie. This is a movie theater, okay? I'm watching this, and Viggo Mortensen has a scene where his son, spoiler, shoots a bad guy.
David Cronenberg, Viggo Mortensen.
His son shoots a bad guy, and I think all this time that Viggo Mortensen is trying to protect his son from becoming the monster that he is in that film. And he has all this like pent up like adrenaline rage in his face. And I'm telling you, this is a fake movie with a fake character, and I got scared looking at Viggo Mortensen's face in the movie.
Whoa.
I was like, whoa.
That's great.
That's such good acting. I suggest anybody watching the movie just watching any movie, just go watch History of Violence, because it's also a Cronenberg
This guy's face is making me scared.
And then also another great Cronenberg movie, I believe, was the one where he was a Russian war guy. Oh, what the hell was that called? Eastern Promises, another great movie. It stars with the bad guy from.
He also is the
Shade
crazy
Hunter.
psychiatrist in Nightbreed.
I just saw Lord of Illusion,
yeah.
the movie by that Clive Barker fellow. It's pretty good. I don't know what Clive Barker left. He was a good director. Anyway, back to this. Rating would you give Crimes of the Future, Danny? 2022.
I will give it an 8 out of 10. A weird, dorky former vampire is trying to kiss your grotesque, open, tongue-flicking mouth. And for some reason, people viewing it are turned on against their will.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with that. Thea, what rating would you give Crimes of the Future 2022?
I'm gonna give it 7.5. Weird chairs that rock you badly back and forth to make you digest properly.
Can you imagine if that? Although people would do that nowadays just because they're lazy.
Oh yeah.
I would
do it.
I would give this.
I probably would too. Yeah.
I also would give this an 8 out of 10. playing a most hilarious prank of getting nude with your coworker and going inside of an autopsy coffin to make somebody laugh.
So funny.
And then drilling people in the head.
Do you think those two
Don't forget
women
that.
knew? Because that was the scene previously where Viggo Mortensen and her were inside the autopsy coffin. So I
Of
think
course
must
they
have
knew.
been.
Of course they knew. I think they were just like, let's have fun.
How great was that
You
with the drills in the head though? That was
That
pretty
was
awesome.
actually wicked.
That was pretty cool. Haven't seen something
But
like
I
that in a
feel
while.
like if somebody started drilling at your head,
Yeah, you would like move forward, right?
you would lean forward.
it's not like
they
a
wouldn't
drill.
be able to pierce through.
like a
I mean,
drill
were they
that's
using like
actually pull.
adamantium drill bits? You know,
I saw a movie called The Driller Killer. It's from the 70s. It's
is that the guitar one?
No,
the
no,
one
no,
with
no.
the guitar?
That's Sleepaway Party Camp 2 or whatever the fuck the movie is called.
Okay.
But in Driller Killer, it's like a 70s movie by Abel Ferrara. There's a guy sitting at a bus stop. You know where they have those, I don't know if they have them in Canada, but it's like they have these kind of glass encasements there. And he's just laying back, and the guy drills through the glass and goes through the guy's head. And I'm like, wouldn't the guy hear glass breaking behind his head before a
glass?
fucking full drill?
Yeah, I
goes
guess he
through?
must have been using a diamond bit or something to go through the
Wow.
glass.
Oh, boy, what a movie. With that, Thea, what's the final word?
Boob.
Danny. Oh, she's racy today. Danny, what's the final word?
This movie isn't called The Langoliers.